Yo, what's up, everyone? Welcome to the MxHub podcast. Today, we're going to be discussing the AMA 250 Championship, the riders involved, the series, and everything about it. We are not joined by co-host Jason tonight. We are joined by the one, the only, the Chad Paulsen. What's up, Chad? We're good.
How's it going?
Right, AMA 250s. How's this season gonna shape up?
I don't know. I definitely think it's gonna be the more interesting class of the two. Just way more people that are gonna win races. Way more diversity. Like you have kids racing grown men. Like it's ridiculous. Always some carnage. I think personally, it's my favorite class to watch all year.
Oh, 100%. And it's stacked this year as well. Like the riders, I think I counted 22, like factory riders. So there's going to be factory riders not scoring points. Um, it's definitely probably one of the strongest years I've seen for a long, long time.
We have we have four people on pro circuit capable of getting podium. Like if you just think of the amount of people capable of getting podiums, it's like I'd say there's 10 guys easily who should be expecting to be on the podium every week.
Yeah, 100%. Um, and there's plenty of like not factory teams that I think can edge in there. We're going to start this off with Club MX. Um, and for me, they're building quite a team. I don't know how you feel about it.
Garrett Marchbanks possibly has the biggest chip on his shoulder out of any 250 rider I've seen in a long time. Real bent out of shape about how things ended with Pro Circuit Kawasaki. You could definitely see that coming through in Supercross season, and he's proven outdoors. I think he's podiumed races. He's been up there ever since he was like 16 or 17 when he went pro. So, I mean, you can't discount him. Plus, he's on the Yamaha, best equipment you could get on a 250. So,
And that bike's
I
good
mean,
as well. I think that bike's good. I think they're doing a good job. They've got everything. I think Club MX are really, really pushing to be the best of the not factory teams. I mean, they've got the
definitely.
facility, they've got everything there.
Yeah, definitely. Like you see Garrett Marchbank, like that's like a factory caliber rider they got on their bike at this point. Like they've got a podium now in the Supercross class. I don't know if they've ever got a podium in the Supercross class. I think that might have been their first, so they got that like added just momentum coming into outdoors. That's definitely probably Marchbank's preferred as it is most of the younger riders seem to prefer outdoors just because it's what they're used to. So
Yeah,
I don't
100%.
know. I'd easily see him getting a few top fives, maybe in for a podium. I think a win would be difficult just with how many people there are that are just absolutely ridiculous this year. But easily see him getting a few top fives, maybe a podium,
Yeah,
especially if it's a mutter.
yeah, for me, he's definitely a 5 to 10 consistent guy. I mean, I know we've seen him crash out of the odd race, and he has that occasional fucking lose of his head where he'll do something stupid and it'll cost him points. Um, but majority of the time he's there or thereabouts.
Especially if it's a mutter. Like I don't know if you remember, like that kid can ride mud. Like his mud race results were pretty crazy. I think a Supercross race. I think his first ever podium outdoors or was Supercross maybe. He got it was in the like deep mud, and he was just like that kid can ride
I seem
mud.
to remember
Like I
watching that. I can't
remember,
remember where it was, but I seem to
I
remember
can't remember.
watching it.
I remember the broadcast crew like were mentioning how they had heard from his dad how his dad used to force it like used to go overwater the yard and make him do a turn track like in deep mud to train him.
I believe he's from Utah as well, so it's from what I understand, obviously, being from England, is I don't really know that much, but from what I understand of Utah, is it's a very mixed bag in terms of soil. You can get that soft stuff, but then you can also get like the rock hard soil.
There's a lot of rocky like it's a lot of rocky terrain, like a lot of mountain ranges out there. I don't know how much there is in the way of sand. I know where it's close to where like in the terms of states it's next to Colorado where Tomac
Yep.
lives. And you see Tomac's track, it's a pretty sandy track.
Yeah, it's definitely
So
loose.
there definitely is sand. He definitely like he's pro. He knows how to ride sand. He's tall, got the long legs. Dude can hang himself off the back of the bike and get through a sand track. No problem. So I guess now we don't have WW, which is like one of the big sand races of the year, but at races like Southwick, he
From what I understand,
should be on
Southwick's
for
been
him.
changed on the schedule as well. I read today.
Oh no, yeah, I did hear that.
10th of July, I think that's changed too. I don't know how that moves
I
it
think
around,
I
but
think
I
I
think it's
think
been
they moved it.
changed.
I think it got moved to after Loretta's or something, I believe. Like
So
it
it's moved
was,
backwards. So it's now
yeah.
okay. But yeah, I mean, anything can happen. I mean, look at Loretta's last year, how wet that was. Um,
Oh yeah. And then you
eh,
had people like Alex Martin on the Suzuki, who everybody just expected him to be barely a top five guy on that Suzuki. He came out and I think he won a moto, got podium overall. Like
yeah, and
it really throws a wrench in it.
it does, yeah, 100%. And obviously on that Club MX team, we've got Joey Crown as well. He's a bit of a, I'm not 100% sure. Um,
I know he can ride Supercross. I've seen him top five Supercross, seen him do well in Supercross. I just don't know how he is outdoors. I think I've seen him do a few races, maybe a few years back. We did go to Canada and race.
yeah,
I know he did do that, so
he ended up 20th in the standings last year, um, which looks here like uh, he only started racing at Loretta Lynn's too, so he missed the early round. So he got 20th, and he got progressively better. Um, where was his best finish? 14th at the final round. So, but then his Supercross got cut short. He raced at Orlando, and then I think he crashed out at Daytona. Um, so
yeah,
it's
yeah, Daytona.
a road to recovery, but we believe he's set, good to go, ready for outdoors. So it'd be interesting to see where he's at. Um, I see him as a points guy, definitely. It's just I think if he gets a bad start, he'll be struggling to get into them points. Like I said, there's so many factory
Yeah.
guys that it's going to be a tough struggle to get in there, but it just boils
Mm.
down to having that machinery getting out the gate.
I mean, interestingly enough, I've seen Osborne has been doing some practicing down at Club MX, so they got the literal 450 reigning outdoor champion to follow around the track while he's getting back in. Well, he was getting back into things after his injury in Supercross, so that's got to like provide some insight into
Yeah, for
something.
sure
Like
he'll
it's
be
got to help
helping
him
them.
out a little
Yeah,
bit.
100%. But
Then
like I said, the Club of Mexico got everything going for him. I can see him in 5 years being one of the best teams. You can see that they're trying to put everything into it, which is nice to see because in this day and age, we tend to see teams falling away from the sport. Whereas now, I think with Club MX, they're building them like themselves back up, which is really nice to see.
and then Alex Martin, who's in my opinion the most interesting privateer
What a
just
legend!
anywhere. Just a legend.
What a
You ever
nice
watched
guy!
his Did you ever watch his YouTube channel?
Yeah, all the time. You can't
That
miss one of
is
them videos.
the best. They're the best rider YouTube channel I've seen.
Yeah, 100%. Um, and it's funny because you'll get onto this. I think we'll get onto this later when we talk about his brother. But we get Alex Martin, the most chilled out. He's just happy to be
He,
out there. I mean,
he's
how old is he now? 31.
30, 31, yeah,
Yeah,
around there.
still in the 250 class, and he's still enjoying it. And I wouldn't go to past it to say that he's probably one of the fittest guys out there.
Yeah, it's weird though, because he did have that injury in Supercross, so he has had to come back.
Yeah,
He has been coming back from that injury, so that's definitely hurt. I'd say his base is probably easily one of the best base fitness levels in the whole class.
and
Just
from
see if he can working up to that race pace. I don't know if he'll come out blazing in the early rounds, but I think once he gets to that mid season, just everybody's just grinding. The people who have had no injuries so far are just dying, just waiting for the season to be over. He's gonna really start coming alive. You might see
yeah,
a few wild finishes from him then.
and I feel like he'll tick away rounds really nicely. He'll always be consistent. His bad day might be a 12th overall,
Yeah.
but I don't ever feel unless the bike lets him down. I don't ever see him outside of the top 15. I just can't see it happening because he's a
I
charger as
mean,
well. He don't give up.
and you can't forget that he won his first ever moto on that team on that same bike essentially.
Yeah,
A bit older version, but he won a moto. He on that Rock River. I think back then it was it's changed names a lot now. I think it was Cycle Trader back then. I don't know.
Yeah, possibly.
I think the bones of that team are somewhat in this team. I'm pretty sure it's kind of like been an evolution through there.
And
Pretty sure that's
from
part of
what I
it. So
understand,
he
he's been.
knows.
Go on, carry on.
Oh yeah, yeah. So he knows what he's doing. Privateer Yamaha. Like he's gonna go out get a podium at some point. I have to call at least one podium for Alex.
And it's major respect to him because I mean, you like see a lot of guys in this sport now that retire at the age of like 27, and he's still grinding out here at 30 years old, 31 years old on a 250 privateer. So he's not even on a factory bike and doing it, still having fun.
Yeah,
And
like just pounding laps at Millville, just absolutely running it.
on a 450, I believe, training on a 450 at the moment.
Yep.
Um, Obviously, there's some method behind that. Who knows what it is? Obviously,
Osborne used to do that
yeah.
when he was winning his 250 titles. He used to train on a 450 during the week, so it's just
I think sometimes it's get
beats you
used
up.
to. Yeah, it does, and it's a heavier bike. So when you get back on a 250, you can throw it around a lot more. Um, there's
I mean,
obviously,
the power of these 250s put out when you have that like package on it that these teams have, like almost feels like a 450 sometimes. Like I know some people that have tried out that one. I had a friend who tried a Geico Honda one time at a track, and he said the bike pulled harder than his YZ 450.
yeah, and I feel like with his connections and how he is in the sport, I feel like he'll be getting a lot of help from Yamaha as well. I don't feel like
Mm,
that box bike's just going to be box standard. Um,
mm.
so I expect to see some whole shots. He does like a good start. I mean, he even made the Suzuki get out of the gate. So
Anybody who can do that can pull a start on anything.
yeah, maybe
Maybe. I hope
Suzuki's
so.
a
At
bit
least he doesn't
weak.
have to kick it anymore.
That's
At least he
very
doesn't have
true.
to kick it anymore.
That's true. Um, where should we go next? Where should we go next?
I think get into a factory team or two.
Yeah, should we
We'll save the.
head
We'll
over to
get
pro
like.
circuit maybe?
Yeah,
Let's
that
talk
sounds
about them
good.
guys. So we start with Joe Shimoda. What an end to the
Oh,
season for him.
just the on like he became the biggest talking point of that whole series. Like started out everybody was just focused on Jet this, Jet that, and you had Star Boys because they were in the points lead. But by the end of the series, and almost nobody even cared about Jet and Nichols. They were just like, holy crap, look at Joe Shimoda go. Like, how's
100%.
this
Yeah.
dude like? I think he didn't finish worse than fifth the whole season.
I mean, that class you can say was weakened,
Oh yeah,
um, but he
I
still
think
put himself there every single week. And it
they
didn't
had
matter
about.
where he started. I mean, was it the showdown where he crashed lap one? I still think he came back to seventh or eighth, I believe. And that shows he can charge through the best riders. So for those that sort of doubted his commitment or his pace, that showed it. A lot of people, from what I've read here, but he's just a slow, steady guy. But for me, if he has to, he'll charge. He reminds me of Dungy.
Yeah, yeah, I was about to say that too. Like a Dungy, like just like it's not like he doesn't shock you with what he does. Like he doesn't blow your mind necessarily, but he's just impressive nonetheless with just how steady, consistent. Just like he's gonna get it done. Like I could easily see him doing similar to what he did in Supercross, like just almost in that top 10, hovering around probably like top 7,
Yeah.
probably every round with a good amount of fifths, podiums. And I don't know. I'd have to say when he got a podium on the Geico Honda last year, I think.
I
Or no, no,
believe.
no. Wait, yeah. Did he get? Pretty sure, yeah. Final round at
Yeah, I'll do
Paula,
some
he got a
research.
podium. Yeah.
But the way he works, he never puts himself at risk of crashing out of a race. From what from watching, he never looks like he's on the edge of crashing. Whereas you look at some guys, you think, "Cool, he's going to crash in a minute." He is so smooth, so precise. It's a nice riding style to watch,
He's almost the polar opposite of his teammate Cameron McAdoo.
and that's where I was about to head
Almost the
over to
polar
next.
opposite.
Yeah,
Almost the
yeah.
polar opposite.
I mean, McAdoo looks like he is trying to rip the engine out of that bike.
Like I've never ever seen someone be like that sketchy, go that fast, and I mean he crashes, but like it's almost like he doesn't crash like because he's being sketchy, just crashes because of stupid things. It looks like he's playing a video game the way he rides. Like it looks
Yeah,
like he's playing a video game.
and he's come on a long way because McAdoo was for me, a guy that was sort of talked about earlier on in his career, and then it sort of died off. And he thought of him when he came into the Supercross season as just a guy that will be around the top five, but he definitely performed this Supercross season.
Oh yeah, outperformed my expectations for sure.
But yeah, I mean, he provided some entertainment as well.
Oh, for sure. Probably one of the greatest pictures, greatest memes in motocross coming out the past few years is that picture of him with his arms up, just getting swung over the top of that over under at Atlanta.
I mean, from what I'm aware, he did quite well out of that. I mean, his body didn't, but like social media wise, I believe went through the roof after that incident. I
I
mean, he
believe I
gained a
saw it.
lot of fans.
Yeah, I saw an interview where I think he gained a few 10,000, few
Yeah, I think it was like
tens of thousands of followers. Yeah,
30,000 followers in a couple of days. Um, and so done himself a little bit of harm, but he done good out of it as well. Um,
pretty good ad for that Bell Moto 10.
100%. I mean, taking a hit like that, I mean, he hit his head hard on the face of the over under, flung himself over, then took another hard impact, and just to get up and carry on. I mean, I don't think
No
many
concussion.
people, yeah, and I don't think many other people would have got up and done that.
I I mean, I don't know what you have to have in your head to make you want to get up and do that. I mean, if that
Nothing.
doesn't guarantee you a ride with Mitch, like,
Yeah, there can't be no disrespect to him, but there can't be a lot in his head to get up and think, you know what, I'm going to give it another go, and then
that
come out like he did, and then first few laps after that was ridiculous. His speed through the whoops early on in that main uh, were a joke.
and he had the fastest lap in that main.
Yeah,
Like after the restart, he had the fastest lap. So I mean, dude just showed like heart like you've never seen.
yeah,
Heart
and it was
like you have
it was a
never
shame
seen.
that the final round didn't go his way as well because it'd have been nice to see a nice battle at the end. But I mean, you
Yeah.
can't doubt that he didn't give it anything, give it everything.
Interestingly, I saw in the Moto Spy episode today, apparently Hunter Lawrence had a in his contract he had a championship bonus for first and second, but not third. And so if McAdoo would have beat him, he would have lost that bonus, and that's definitely part of the reason why he was pushing for that podium spot, just because he didn't want to lose that championship spot to McAdoo, lose out on that bonus.
Interesting. Yeah, I mean, money talks. I mean, Hunter and Jet, we'll get onto them later, but I mean, they've come from nothing, so every little bit of money helps. Um,
Oh yeah,
where we go next? Hammaker. He had a pretty solid
Hammaker.
season.
I mean, win in his what third race?
Yeah, and
That's what more can you say?
and he was fast in qualifying, week in, week out in Supercross.
Yeah, he was mixing it up with those guys every week. He
And
has the pace. Just rookie mistakes, just
and
classic.
like you said earlier, these young guys that have come through, probably, I mean, obviously they get taught Supercross, they ride
Yeah.
Supercross, but their background through all the amateur stuff is all motocross pretty much. So that
So
is like his first real experience at Supercross, and yeah, I mean he impressed me definitely.
yeah, I mean, he knows motocross. He's been riding motocross. Supercross is this new thing he's probably been introduced to in the past maybe 2 years of just getting into it. Whereas the dude's ridden motocross his whole life.
Yeah,
So, I mean, if he was that good indoors, I'd expect him to be comparatively even better outdoors. Like,
yeah.
I'm super excited to see how him and all those other rookies do.
Did he make any rounds at the end of last season?
He didn't do any because I believe he was coming off of double shoulder surgeries. So he was
Oh no,
that's
that
because
feels.
he was from what I know he was meant to go pro last year, during outdoors last year, but he had those double shoulder surgeries, so he couldn't do. He had to postpone.
I mean, to finish fourth in his first season in Supercross is good. Fourth overall. He finished fifth at the showdown as well, so I mean, the pace is definitely there. Um,
See the fitness though, because he's going from 15-minute motos to 230s now.
yeah,
That's a big jump, and you got to respect it. I definitely expect to see him. Maybe if you remember Faulkner's rookie year, he had a few races where he'd be like in the top three, and he just fade back to like right in that like seventh to fifth kind of range. I could definitely see that coming up from a Hammaker a few times.
and this is something I want to bring up. So in America, so your typical amateur race, how long would they be?
So in the past, it was pretty much like 4 to 5 laps. I know Minio specifically used to be no matter what class you're riding, it was 4 to 5 laps. That was it. That's your race. That's it. And I know recently the bigger amateur nationals have switched it to now it's 20-minute motos, like same as Loretta's for the
Yep.
A classes and I believe the B classes as well. So some more of the big bike classes, those kids that are getting ready to go into the pros, they are racing 20-minute races, like big proper long races
I mean, that's
instead of
good to
those
hear.
like
Yeah,
little
because
little 4 lap things.
from what I understood, the Americans did it a little bit wrong in that way because from what I've watched, seen, the races are so short that it just doesn't prepare them for when they finally make that break to pro racing, and they're going from 5 laps, which is probably 10 minutes, maybe, to
Triple,
yeah,
essentially.
doing triple that
And and that's why Loretta's used to be so big here, is because it was the only time that teams got to see the kids race.
for a decent
They
amount of
did
time. Yeah,
a multiple moto format and 20-minute motos the whole weekend, and that's the only time they'd seen it. But now you get that at the Minios, you get that I believe the JS7 Freestone Nationals have longer motos now and some of the other amateur nationals. I'm not sure about all of them, but I know those big three all have 20 minutes. And I believe the Ricky Carmichael that the Ricky Carmichael Daytona race
yeah.
has that as well.
I think that's how it should be because it is better preparation. I mean, being from Europe, that's how we all get brought up. I mean, even on so a kid on a 85, he'd be doing 15 to 20 minute motos. At like national level, he'd be doing 15 to 20 minute motos. And I mean, if he's at a bit of a lower level than that, it might be 10 to 12 minute motos. But you're always doing, I feel like here we prepare for like motocross a lot better.
Mm.
Um,
And I mean, that's why you see a guy like Jet Lawrence, who came to Loretta's his first ever year. He's 15 years old, racing a bunch of 18, 19-year-olds, and he goes 1-2, 1-2. And then unfortunately, I think he DNF'd hit one of his final races, and the other one he had another situation. But dude, in his first ever experience at Loretta's, goes 1-2, 1-2, because he's the only one there that's been racing
for
20, 30
for
minute
that
motos
long,
his
yeah.
whole life, like in Europe, just grinding. I think he did the
The
EMX 250.
Yeah, so the EMX 250 race, I
Yeah.
believe, are 25 minutes plus 2 laps,
Yeah, yeah,
possibly. So
yeah.
the races at Loretta's are short for him. They're like a little sprint.
Yeah, and that's why he comes to Loretta's and dominate. Like I think any top European kid could go to Loretta's and dominate because, or
They're
maybe
just
not
used to
any
that.
top kid
Yeah,
because they are doing more now. But
yep.
I mean, in the past, like maybe 5, 6 years ago, when everybody was just doing these 4 or 5 lap races all the time, like you get to Loretta's. I mean, if you have a kid come in that's been doing that the whole time, he's just gonna do better, and that's what you saw with Jet, and that's why I think you're starting to see a lot of kids, a lot of races start to extend their time.
Yeah, I like that. I like the change. Um, and talking about change, Austin Faulkner. Does he need to make a change? What needs to happen to Austin Faulkner? How does this man catch a break?
I don't know, cause he's almost this year he had a completely different issue than he usually has. So his usual issue is he pushes way too hard, and he just
Over his head,
just
yeah.
augers. Finally crashes one too many times, and it's the one that does him in. Whereas this year, his second round, he wasn't pushing or anything, just small mishap, snaps collarbone.
I mean,
And
he is very unlucky, and it could have gone a lot different for him. He could be walking into the 450 class now with a number of titles, but
I
it's
mean, he should be a two-time Supercross
yeah,
champion. Well, I guess not last year because he did have a legitimate fight with Ferrandis all the way to the last round, but 2 years ago when he lost his title to Sexton, he should have won. I mean, what he went 5 for 5
yeah.
before he was out. So he's an unfortunate case, and he hasn't. He also keep in mind he hasn't raced outdoors in 2 years now. He hasn't done an outdoor race since 2018.
I still feel like he come out in a good way. I mean, I don't know how. So it was quite a long time ago that he obviously sustained that injury in Supercross. So I presume he's pretty prepared. I mean, I'm
Oh, and it
sitting
was
over
only a
here,
collarbone. I think they purposely
pulled him out of
didn't
the
put
rest.
him back out. Yeah, I think they purposely pulled him out of the rest just get him to focus because he wasn't gonna win that Supercross
No, the
title, but
championship's
maybe
gone
he can
already.
come win this outdoor title.
Yeah, and I've seen obviously on Instagram and stuff that he's been out riding. I believe he was in, where was he? I don't know. I saw someone that posted photos of him, and he looked quick. He looked and some videos, and he did look good. Do you think this will be his last year in 250?
No, no, I think he's got. I think they're gonna push him till he either points out of the class legitimately or something's got to happen. Because from what I hear, it is almost confirmed that Anderson is going to Monster Energy Kawasaki.
Okay, that's where I was
So
gonna.
that
Okay,
just doesn't leave him a
yeah,
spot.
that's where I was gonna lead on to because obviously
Yeah.
Tomac leaving at the end of
Mm,
outdoors. I didn't know if they'd just be like promote someone up, which obviously then leads the space to
mm,
the younger guys like is it Di Francesco and coming through, and that gives them a spot. So it's sort of like Constantino's all the way through the team.
mm.
But I mean,
I mean, who knows? Maybe they're looking into doing a Monster Energy Star Racing thing, like where they're just gonna field a ginormous 250 team and run a three-person 450 team.
possibly
I mean,
because they're gonna have. I mean, Star Racing are taking over, and for me, as another factory team, you're gonna have to put extra bikes out there to compete.
yeah,
I mean,
like you can't have like I remember 2019 for Cianciarulo's title, it would be him, so almost every star ended up him and there's four star racing bikes
yep,
around him. And now it's even worse. Now it's going to be say Hammaker pulls like a fifth place start and there's going to be four star bikes ahead of him and there's
yeah.
going to be two behind him. Like
I
it's
mean,
the
they've
problem
got
is
four guys pro circuit. Obviously, they're missing Jordan Smith, who's announced this week that he is ruled out for outdoors. That man, we're talking about Falk not catching a break. Smith can't catch a break. Uh,
oh
when is the last time that man completed a season? I cannot think of when he last completed a season. I mean, I know was it when he was on
2017 was when he was red plate into the final round and knocked
TLD when
himself
he
out.
endoed
Yeah,
a gun back into the stadium.
yeah, that
Yeah,
was 17. Yeah.
I mean that was the last round and last time that I can remember him. And there's no doubt that dude is really, really good, but there's a fine line between really good and crashing your brains out every week. Look at
Mm.
James Stewart towards the end of his career.
Just couldn't
He couldn't keep it
every
together.
time. Like,
He was pushing to not get faster, but he was pushing to because he knew everyone else was catching up. He had to go that a little bit more, and that little bit more was meaning he was crashing a lot more. And I think that led to his retirement. Really, I mean, he was on his way out anyway, and he's done what he
mm,
wanted to do. But
we just so many concussions. They just
yeah,
add up, and after a while, it just you just can't ride like you used to. It's just your brain doesn't function as fast as it needs to
no.
keep up with what you're doing.
But yeah, I see Pro Circuit having some good results this year. I mean, they're all going to be in the top 10 for me. Um,
I see Faulkner fighting for the title. I see him putting legit fight, but he's definitely not my main contender.
no, and I don't see McAdoo being consistent enough. He will always be a top 10 guy if he's not crashing out of the race.
Mm, mm, absolutely.
But
And
I think that leads us on nicely to Red Bull KTM. And this one's an interesting one for me because they've got Cooper Webb and Marvin on the 450 side, strong team, and I just feel like their 250 side's pretty weak.
yeah, I thought it was interesting that they didn't try to keep any of the Troy Lee guys
Yep.
have some kind of experience. Like I for sure thought they were gonna keep Hartraft with his performance last year with the podiums. He was a almost consistent podium guy. I was like, no way they're gonna drop him. And then you see the contracts announced, and there's no Hartraft. And we're just like, well, what are they gonna expect this 17-year-old, maybe 18-year-old kid Max Bolin to test this whole bike on his own, build it up from scratch? Like it
Yeah, I
just doesn't
agree.
work for me. And you kind of saw in Supercross he was struggling. Like when all the factory guys were still there, he was definitely towards the back end of them. Like he
And
was he was struggling in
you
Supercross.
think with all the money KTM have got, and this is their main team in 250s, you think with all the money they got, they'd want to show off how good their 250 is. And I just don't feel like them. So you got Max Volan and Caleb Russell, who's come over from Enduro. I just don't feel like them two are good enough. I just feel like why not spend a little bit more money and go and get maybe not one of the top guys, but there's got to be someone out there that's got a bit of experience. I mean, we're
I
unsure
mean, I
whether to muck off Honda are going to race outdoors. Mitchell Harrison last year had a good season. I think he finished eighth or maybe overall, sixth overall, maybe on Pro
yeah, I'm
Circuit
not sure.
Kawasaki. Why not get him in? Experienced guy, he's raced GPs, he knows motocross well. Get someone in like that who can test the bike, develop the bike. But instead, they've got what, 17-year-old Max Volan? Is he
Yeah,
17?
somewhere around 17 or 18, somewhere around there.
And then you got Caleb
But
Russell,
nonetheless,
who,
completely inexperienced. And Caleb Russell, who, yeah, as you say, is a enduro guy, a GNCC racer. He's done, I think, he's done a handful. You can probably count on one hand how many nationals he's done. I only know of the one personally, and that was in the 450s. So, I
yeah,
mean, it's
it's
it's a
definitely
fun thing to
interesting.
see. It'll be interesting to see how Caleb does and Max. I don't know. Have you seen videos of Max riding at tracks like Paula and Glen Helen?
I haven't.
I've
I
seen a.
saw Voland race at the MXGP of Great Britain
Oh yeah, yeah.
beginning
We
of
did that
last year.
125. Yeah, yeah. He did that.
Beginning
Yeah.
of last year. And yeah, okay, the conditions weren't great. It was a bit wet and whatever, but he just didn't
But being the
perform at all. I mean,
being the American phenom, like the
yeah,
untouchable in the 125s, to go over there and I don't even think he got top 10.
no, I think he was. I think he finished 11th overall. Um,
Yeah.
and for me, that just it, it doesn't really cut it. I mean,
Mm.
that's a year ago he was doing that, and now he's Red Bull KTM's main 250 guy. I feel like they should have just gone with someone a bit more experienced. That's
I mean, I definitely like that they're continuing to invest in him, like, because they've had him on their KTM since he was on amateurs, and I definitely see him being a title guy in the future. But just for this first year of like branching out to bringing the 250 outfit back under the Red Bull KTM rig, like, why not hire a guy like Alex Martin
exactly
who's
what I was
looking
about to
for a
say.
ride?
Yeah,
Why not hire a guy like
experienced
Alex Martin?
with all the social media presence he's got, everything like that. He's a
It wouldn't
perfect
be.
fit.
And
Develop a
he was
bike.
on the TLD team. He was on
Yep.
the TLD team previously, so it's not like he doesn't know the KTM 250. Like, and I think two or three times now he's finished runner up in the 250 outdoor title.
Yeah, so
So
given the machinery, he's got it. I just feel like they haven't got enough experience there.
yeah, it's a hard one because I love Max Volan. I want to see him do well. Like, he's such an interesting guy. Like, runs the hand guards even in Supercross. I
I
love
like
that.
that.
Like, reminds me of Travis
I
Pastrana,
like it.
which is ironic because the rivalry his dad and Travis
Yep.
Pastrana had. But I don't know. Like, I want to see him improve. But for this first year, that I think they really should have also hired someone with more experience in 250 motocross.
I mean,
It's just it's hard. It's hard to see what they're going for.
some people might argue that like Caleb Russell will be doing like the testing, but is he?
Is he capable of testing for
Yeah.
motocross like that? Like, woods and motocross are two completely different sports. Like,
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
the
completely.
setups are completely different.
But I mean, only time will tell. I see Volan being. I think it's gonna be difficult for him to break into the top 10. I think
Exactly.
he's gonna be a
That's
10 to
exactly what I
20
was gonna
guy,
say.
and I don't think KTM are gonna be happy with that. I don't think they're gonna be happy with a 10 to 20 guy on there because if you look at the non-factory teams, there isn't many people running KTM's. Not
No,
you
yeah,
don't
it's
see it.
almost
So he's
entirely Kawasaki's and
Yamaha.
Yamahas now.
So he is literally going to be the top KTM, and he's going to be outside the top 10. Caleb Russell, I mean, your guess is as good as mine. He could be anywhere.
Yeah, anywhere. But I mean, I guess they do have some white KTM's and some red KTM's to fall
I mean,
back on
yeah,
to point out for the results.
there might be some extra red KTM's in a couple of years when is it Beta coming over from MXGP? They reckon because they've been brought
I
by
reckon.
KTM now.
Yeah, they just announced one of their. They just announced their team manager for the team, Carlin Gardner, who's been a privateer 450 guy for a
Yep.
while.
So
Definitely like made a few mains, done a few out like cool to see a rider getting promoted to manager just for and they said they used evidence from like they used his performance as managing his own privateer team
yeah, because I
as you
believe
know
like he got a
what
mention on one of the Supercross broadcasts about all the stuff he does for his team and stuff like that. So
yeah
it's good. So what's a Beta will be in? 2021 outdoors.
Yeah, I think next year. I don't know. Are they coming? I don't know if they're coming for Supercross or not, but I think definitely the team for outdoors next year. That'll be another interesting
Yeah, well, I mean, we've
addition.
in Europe we've got they'll be in MXGP in a month's time.
Yeah, Van Horbeek
Yeah, Van
on
Horebeke on it.
GP. Yep.
Yeah, and from what I've seen, he looks good. From what I've read, the reports are really good. But is it going to be like another Aprilia thing where they're around for a year and then die off?
Mm,
But then I don't see that with KTM investing in them. I just can't see it being like that. But
I
that's
think
another thing to find out.
as long
And
as we're talking about red KTM's, we mentioned the Gas team.
yeah, Pierce Brown, solid, pretty
I,
good.
I love Pierce Brown. Like that dude was so badass and he's a badass amateur. Came into the pros and has just been getting so injured.
He
Just
has.
every Supercross season, he seems to get injured and just misses a few rounds and can never really build momentum to get
And
those results.
from what I've seen of him, he hasn't. I haven't seen too much, but from what I've seen of him, he's got such a nice, controlled riding style. I mean, he is aggressive, but he always looks in control, and he's always getting injured. And
Yeah, I mean, I think he was injured before the season, missed the first round, came to Daytona, got a podium, and then practiced for the next round. He breaks his thumb and he's out again for the next like almost till the end of the season. I don't even know if he came back for the end of the season. Maybe did one or two rounds at the end. But yeah, the kid cannot catch a break. He cannot stop getting injured. But I think he's on the bike now, prepping for outdoors, getting ready, as is Moseman.
so he had a
Who,
pretty good run of results. I mean, a podium at Daytona, um, Atlanta 1, 9th, Atlanta 2, 8th, Atlanta 3, 14th, and then
who
Salt Lake
did?
City 7th. So he did race at the showdown. He got 7th at the showdown, so he is back. He's ready to go. Um, but is he
I
where he
mean, not
wants to
where he,
be?
not where he should be though. Yeah, not
Yeah.
where he should be.
I mean, he's outdoor, and when you look at his Supercross results from 2020, so the previous year, he ended that in Salt Lake. Obviously, when they did the 6 races at Salt Lake or 7 races, whatever they did, he ended up 4th for the last 2 rounds. So he was, if anything, he's gone backwards because I feel like the field for Salt Lake was stronger than this year's Supercross, and I feel
Yeah, he
like
definitely had more
yeah,
people like, cause the East, yeah, the East Coast was so just decimated by the time we got to the final round.
yeah.
I think you had 4 factory guys in the whole East Coast field left.
I mean, there was a round where I saw that there was only was it 9 in the LCQ or 8 in the
Yeah,
LCQ.
or
That
there's
was when
7 and a 450 LCQ.
it was yeah, and there was a 251, the one that Craig pulled out of. Um,
Uh,
there was only
yeah, that
like
was
8 in there, so it definitely died off. But last year outdoors he got 14th at Loretta's, 16th at Loretta's 2, 20th at Ironman, 20th at Redbud. So he's in the points. I feel like he's come on, but is he gonna be able to keep that going? Is he gonna stay injury free? Only time will
Yeah, I
tell.
think if he stays injury free, you could definitely see him building throughout the season and ending up as a top 10 guy by the end. But as for the beginning of the season, I don't yet see him being that consistent top 10 guy. Like definitely see a top 10 moto finish, but just to be a consistent top 10 guy, I feel like is going to take just more than he's been showing
Yeah,
recently.
and I feel like a lot of these kids, confidence is massive. I mean,
Mm,
we'll get there eventually, but Jet Lawrence, that kid oozes confidence. He doesn't need good results to be confident. He is just a confident kid, and that shows. And then when he wins, it just gets bigger and bigger. Some of these kids need that spark. Look at Nate Thrasher in Supercross. He got that
yeah.
little bit of confidence, and then he progressed. It might only take Pierce Brown one race, and it'll click, and then we'll see the real Pierce Brown. So
Mm.
you never know. And his teammate Moseman, he intrigues me.
He's one of the most interesting guys I think in the 250 class. Maybe not because of riding, just because as a personality, like how his personality is like
Differs.
juxtaposed his riding. Like he's completely different on and off the track. It seems like
Yeah, 100%. I mean, from what I understand, he's king. He plays chess.
he's a
From what I
big chess
understand,
player.
he sits there nice and peacefully playing chess, but he's happy to smash shit out of people on a weekend on a track. Uh, but it works. I mean, sometimes I think it's a bit too much. He gets a bit too aggressive, and it hinders him a
I mean,
little
it
bit.
backfires.
But then I
Look
noticed
what
a
look at him and Jet
difference.
Lawrence.
Yeah, I mean, him and Jet Lawrence have got a little thing going on, haven't they? But I noticed a difference. I think it was the round Shimoda one.
Yeah,
He
yeah, he's
hung
definitely
he
being careful.
hung back behind Shimoda for a very long time, whereas I think before we'd have seen Mosman make a stupid attempt of a pass, resulting in either him going down or both of them going down. But he hung back and it cost him. So it'll be very interesting to see if he's learned from that and thinks. I think he ended up third that night. So is third better than crashing out or taking that chance and getting the win? So it's a win-win, lose-lose for him. He doesn't really know where to go, but he needs to find that happy medium between being aggressive and being too careful. Because I felt like that night he was a little bit too careful, but it was nice to see him change his riding style. And there's
And
no
you
doubt.
might
Go on.
for outdoors, you might be able to be a bit more lenient because it's not so tight
Yep.
supercross, one line. It's almost near impossible to pass anyways. Whereas now we're going to outdoor, big wide tracks, multiple lines. You can make passes. You don't have to be miles faster than the guy in front of you to make a pass anymore.
No,
So you might be able to see him be more free, be more like, okay, I don't need to bump this guy out of the way and cause a big rivalry between me and this guy for the rest of the year. I can just, be patient, get around him, and then charge forward, not think about it.
and he definitely lets it hang out. He's an interesting rider to watch. I mean, whenever he's on camera, you're not entertained because he's always putting on a show. There's always something
Something's
going
gonna
on.
happen.
Yeah. Um, and I feel like he's gelled quite well with that gas. I always felt like he looked a bit uncomfortable. I mean, I know they're very similar bikes, um, but he always looked a bit uncomfortable and a bit tight on the Husky. Whereas this
Mm.
gas, I feel like I mean, much the same as Barsha has. I know he's gone from Yamaha to gas, but he looks so much better on it. And I feel like give Mosman a bit of time, and I think for me this year, he's going to be a 3 to 7 guy.
Yeah, that gas. The people that get on that gas do look comfortable. Like they can just hang it out, put that bike where they want it, and just go. So it's definitely been a good showing for the bike. And yeah, I mean, I'm looking at his results for the previous few years. And last year, you could say it was good, you could say it wasn't good. I see a lot of finishes outside the top 10, but then I see a lot of top fives too. Like it's a
Yeah,
very, very up and down season for him. He finished it off on a high with a fifth, and he had podiums. He had podiums, and he had a lot of top tens, but then he had his bad motos like at Millville 13th, Unadilla 12th. Like towards the end of the season, he definitely seemed to have a few bad ones, and so he's gonna have to prevent that because he's been racing all year. He hasn't had a break. He hasn't been injured. He's been going
yeah.
round after round after round,
I
and it's gonna be tough to keep that going when those hot days in September and you're just dying and you've been just full ball going at training for the
Since
past
January, yeah.
8 months. What, 8 to 10 months?
But I feel like this year you can be if you're consistently. I think if you're in the top 8 consistently, you're going to have a good season because there's so many people that are going to swap change every week, and different people can win, and the odd person will have a bad race. If you can consistently hit that top 8 every week, I can see a top 3 finish over the season, 100%.
Yes, I see it being similar to how in the 450 class that like seventh to like 12th place was just a toss up every week. It'd be the
Yep,
same 5 or 6 guys, and they'd just be anywhere. Like however they started would be almost how they finished. Like you just see the same guys finishing in that kind of gap of riders. And I see it being similar in 250s this outdoor season where you got like that sixth to kind of like 12th place, and it's just gonna be the same kind of guys just kind of rotating throughout those positions. And if you can be consistently towards the front of that pack, you're gonna finish top five in
yeah.
points.
I mean, it was very much the same 450 Supercross. I mean, doing Rocky Mountain Fantasy. I mean, the wild card's normally between what 8 and 13 to 15,
Yeah.
maybe. You go for Brock Tickle, Vince Freezy, um, Max Anstey. Like you could pick them riders
Yeah.
out easy. It was just getting them in the right order was a pain. But
Mhm.
you could pick the same six guys, and you'd be there or thereabouts every week. So I do see it being similar, but I can see it changing. Like the top, like you say, the top seven. I mean, I can see from what I've got on my screen here, I can see a possible maybe 10 people that can win the race. And I mean, even if it's a wet race, I can see probably 15 people could have a chance of winning a race. It's just wide open this year. Um, where are we? Where are we? Where are we? So that's Gas, but I think they're gonna.
Rockstar.
Yeah, it's got a Rockstar Husqvarna, and aside from Red Bull KTM, I honestly think this is the weakest effort of a team.
I don't know. Hampshire, it's hard to judge because Hampshire has some great results outdoors. He
He
has a
does.
win at Budds Creek. He's been doing great these past few years, but he's been now injured all season.
Yeah,
And I
and
know he's back on the bike now, training, getting ready for outdoors, but he's not going to be at 100%. And then you have guys like Styles Robertson and Jalek Swoll who
unknown.
unknown, like they've never Robertson and Swoll have never been like great. I mean, I think Swoll's done now 2 seasons outdoors and Robertson's done one. And neither of them had that many notable finishes, and they're gonna have to improve on that, and especially Swoll, because this is his. I'm pretty sure this is his contract year. So if he wants to keep
Yeah,
that ride, he's gonna have to start showing up.
I mean, Swole
He's
finished
got
30th in the championship last year, and for a factory rider, that's not
yeah,
exactly where you
yeah,
want to be. Um, I don't know if he had. I mean, he only raced from Loretta's. He missed Loretta's to Redbud, Spring Creek, WW, and his best result was a 19th. So Redbud won
yeah.
19th, Redbud 2 19th, Spring Creek it's 20th, WW Ranch 20th. So he's always around there. Do we feel like he's improved? Yes, but so's everyone else. So it's
And has he improved enough to get break that like? I mean, he needs to be getting top tens at
yeah,
least
100%.
semi consistently to keep that ride.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I still see him as stronger than Robertson. But I think Robertson's got more chance because he's had that one less year, so he's got that 1 year's leeway. Whereas if he has an average season this year, he'll probably get another go at it next year. Whereas Swell, like you say, contract season, he's got to perform this season. Otherwise, he's going to find himself on probably not a factory team.
Mm. Could go
But
the Jordan Bailey route.
yeah, it's tough because he's definitely got talent. I mean, we saw it in Supercross. Where did he finish? He got on the podium, I believe. Yeah, he got second at Arlington too. Um, so it's there. Um, but can he do it
And
consistently over 12 rounds of outdoors? I think he's going to be 10 to 20 guy. And
but it's
if
it's
he
hard
can
to say.
if he can stay there throughout the season and get a top 10, that will get him a top 10 overall in the season. I think that will be a good stepping stone for him. Um, but then, like I say, it's going to be such a mix around this year that God knows what's going to happen.
Yeah, he has the program, right? He's at Baker's factory. He doesn't train directly under Baker, but he's in the Baker's factory camp. He's got the Rockstar Energy Husqvarna, part of that KTM group. Like he's on good equipment. He's on a good program. So there's no excuse for him not to be performing. He's essentially got almost the exact same program that Osborne had when he went 2 Supercross titles and then
Yep.
outdoors. So there's no excuse not to be performing, and he needs to start getting those performances. Otherwise, Rockstar is going to be looking elsewhere for riders.
I mean, they've got what Ferry. He's coming through. I can't think of his name
Yeah,
now.
Ferries, Evan Ferry.
Evan Ferry. That's it. Yeah, he's coming through. I mean, is he on a? You say he's on a 250 now?
Yeah, he's just now getting onto a 250.
Because I mean, the videos I've seen him on a 125, and I mean, he looks
Yeah.
fast.
Oh, he is like he is one of the top kids in amateurs right now, at least on for 125 class. I think he won his area qualifier for Loretta's. I believe I don't know if it was area or regional, but he won whichever one of that it was at Orlando MX. He won that.
Do you
So
see
I mean, he's
him?
he's coming into the Loretta's as a top contender.
Do you see him moving to pro after this year's Loretta's?
Definitely not. I think he's got a year or two.
What happens if? Swole has a poor season and they fancy a change, do you see it change? Did you see it doing it then? Because
He's
like
just not there yet. I don't think he's there yet. I think he's still in the B class. I don't think they want to rush him. I think everybody's scared of rushing these kids up because I mean you saw that. Like
it
there's a
happened,
few
yeah.
years where we kept having these
AC
amateur
and I mean
kids
not
who are
duds,
duds.
but
Like AC almost, but I mean you can't call him a dud. It's more I'm
no.
thinking more like the Derek Drakes,
Yep.
the Mitchell Falks, the Sean
Yeah, I was about
Cantrells,
to say
like
control. Yeah.
yeah, all these people coming up who are great amateur riders, like winning tons of titles, winning Loretta's, and then they come up and they're just nothing.
Yep.
They can't get results, and now all three of those are off factory teams. So it's just you got to be more careful with how you bring these kids up. And Evan Ferry's got Tim Ferry as his dad. Very successful
Yep.
rider in his own right. So he's going to be coming. He's not going to be
I
like
think
coming up early.
I always feel like they are rushed. They seem to push them through as quickly as possible. I mean, there's no harm in keeping a kid. I mean, look at Cooper. How old was Cooper when he first went turned pro? He wasn't young.
He was in
Um,
his 20s, I
yeah.
believe. I think.
Um, Hammaker, is he 19?
Hammaker, I believe, is 19. Yeah,
So you're
he's
looking
not,
at
or maybe he's 19, or maybe he's 20 now.
so I mean, look at them guys thriving. So
Like you don't.
you don't need to push them through at 16, 17. You can wait
Yeah,
that extra couple of years, let them mature, let them get a bit stronger, and then push them through because there's no harm in doing it.
yeah.
They've still got, even if they rode to they were 30 and they came through at 20, they've still got 10 years. Even if that was
Mm.
4 years in 250s, 6 years in 450s. I mean, you still
That's
got
all Poto
more.
had. That's all Ryan Villapoto did.
Yep, you got
That's all
more
Ricky
than enough
Carmichael
time.
did.
I mean, I still feel like, especially in America, riders retire way too early. But
It's
they
it's
make their
hard to
money
say.
and they go, which I mean, it's a personal decision. I'm not one to decide when people can retire, but for me, I feel like people go out a little bit too early. I'm a massive Chad Reed fan, and I feel like he went out a little bit too late. There
Mm.
is a fine line, um, but he just loves the sport and wanted to carry on. Um, but I still feel like Carmichael went a little bit too early. What was he, 27?
He was 26 or 27. Yeah.
I mean,
So there's a weird. So I mean, you look at like there's three cases you look at when you talk about that, right? There's Ricky Carmichael, Ryan Villapoto, Ryan Dungey, all retired when they were about 27,
yep,
and after about 10 years of pro. And all three of those guys retired after being trained by Alden Baker. It's just the way he pushes them and the way like and the fighting for titles. I think it's really the fighting for titles that many years in a row. Because if you look at the results of guys like Brian Villapoto, Ryan Dungey, Ricky Carmichael, they're fighting for titles from their rookie year. They're in title
all the
fights
way
till their
through.
final year. They're in title fights. If you look at a guy like Chad Reed, he spent a few years not in the title
And
fights.
like
If
progressing
you look at
slowly, yeah.
kind of that like since 2013 really, he hasn't been in a title fight.
No,
And like if you say like from 2003 when he went to the big bike class, it was 250s back then.
yeah,
He was fighting from a title straight through. You could say 2012 was when he started falling
yeah,
off, kind of. And then if he'd been still fighting very strongly for a title up until like 2015, he probably would have retired in 2015. Because the stress that comes with
yeah.
fighting
He
for a
had
title
that time
every
to
year
sort of just
after
relax.
year. You even see it in like Formula One, like Nico Rosberg.
Gone.
He could have gone longer, easier, but he just couldn't like the stress and the mental like taxing that comes with fighting for the title
Yep.
year after year. It just drives a person to their limits, and it just causes those early
I
retirements.
suppose I guess it's like a not a lack. I guess it is. It's a lack of motivation. You've put everything into what you want to do for 10 years. In the end, you think, you know what, I want to focus on something else because you're not motivated to do it anymore. There's only so far I think motivation can go. I don't feel like
I
you
mean,
can be motivated. I mean, you can. There's certain things where you can do it for 20 years and you can be motivated to do it for 20 years. But like you say, it's taxing. And it's not like you want to go, you're just going to work to sit behind a desk. You're going to work and you're training like fuck to get to the top of what you're doing. So it is like a tough. Yeah, and I think, like I said, it's a personal decision. there's some guys that want to stay in it. And then you mentioned Formula One, like you can compare Chad Reed to like Raikkonen now. Raikkonen loves the
Yeah,
sport.
exactly, yeah.
He loves it, so he carries on. And while he can carry on, he can, because there's going to be a point where he is too old and he won't get that ride, and then he can't do it. So he wants to do it until someone tells him, "No, you're not good enough anymore." And you've got to respect that, and then you've got to respect also them retiring early because they've earned their money, they've done what they wanted to do, and now they're going off and doing other things. I mean, they're all still, if I'm not mistaken, all still involved in the sport. I mean, I know Carmichael is.
Um,
Dungy obviously is with. Is he still with Honda, or has he moved on now?
um, so Dungy's got an interesting situation. I think he's moved on from Honda. I don't think he's specifically affiliated with any brand now. He's just kind of I don't think he's really found what he wants to do yet.
Because
So
Honda
he's
seemed
almost just
weird
kind of
because
hovering around, kind of doing things here and there. He's not like he's not in anything yet. Like he's not signed. I don't think he's like has a specific job. He's just kind of hovering around, staying in the community. He has like a show with Jason Wygant now that they post on Racer X, where he kind of it's like a 30-minute kind of like talk show where they kind of like drink some coffee, like, promoting his new coffee brand that he started,
yeah, I've seen that.
and they talk about racing, yeah. And then I mean RV is just coined himself the greatest retired racer ever, which I think you'd be hard pressed to argue with. I mean, the dude does anything. He'll go do straight rhythm. He'll go do the
Yeah,
Australian Supercross. He'll just do whatever. I mean, hell, he even did Monster Cup one year, like 3 years after, 4 or 5 years after
yeah,
he retired, and still got a top 10. So like, I don't know, like you see it, like the drive to win those titles and perform at the highest level falls off, but I mean the love for the sport doesn't die off, and after a few years they always end up coming back
yeah,
in some
100%.
capacity.
Right. And an interesting one we're going on to now is news broke this week that Rensland is racing the outdoors on a two-stroke. What a guy. That's a move. That's a way to
One,
increase your social media 100%.
I mean,
I saw
Stank
that.
Dog built a career off riding a
100, yeah.
125 for a few years in the outdoors.
It's a great move if you're not at the top of the sport and you want to have fun, then go and have fun. Do what you want to do. I mean, obviously, I'm on a lot lower scale than that. I had a 254 stroke for a while, and I was about the same pace on it. I'm never ever going to be world champion. I'm never ever going to be British champion, but I wasn't having fun on the 250. So I went to 252 stroke because I enjoy riding it. Obviously, Luke Rensland enjoys riding two strokes. So from what I've read, he was riding a 252 stroke, but the AMA doesn't allow that in any kind of racing, a 252 stroke, in any kind of motocross racing. He still wanted to ride a two stroke, so he's brought a YZ125 to race the outdoors on. What a
I
guy.
mean, what a like people's champ off the bat, people's champ.
And I don't know
I
if
mean,
it's landed him. I don't know if this was a before or after thing, but I also read that he's got a deal with Fox, and he's always dreamt of being a Fox athlete. I don't know if it was a before the two-stroke thing or it was a after the two-stroke thing because of what he's doing. Um, but look where it's got him already. I mean, going on a two-stroke, deal with Fox. He's gonna have fun all summer. What a
gonna
move!
have just fans just absolutely scream and cheering him on
100%.
every lap of every race he does outdoor. Like he's just gonna dude's gonna be having the most fun out of anybody.
Do they still do the 125 races at nationals?
I do not know anymore. I know they did it pre 2020.
Because I
They're
remember
still
like
doing it,
there were
and
some
I
good
don't believe they
videos.
did them last year.
They were some good videos to watch. I mean, the one at Parlour of um,
Ryan
Villapoto.
Villapoto, yeah.
Yeah, who was he battling with? The lad on the KTM. Was that
I believe
Varese?
that was well, he did it at Hangtown. He was battling a guy named Aiden Tejero to
Right.
some I'll just botch the pronunciation of his name, but he was battling with that kid, and that kid ended up beating him. And I believe last year, I think that kid's gone pro now. I believe it was man, it's a shame I can't remember his name now. He was riding for the Orange Brigade team
Josh
in
Varese or
Supercross.
Varese or
Oh yeah, Vreese,
yeah.
Joshua Vreese. Yes, that's it. I believe that was who he was battling with, and now that kid's getting top tens in Supercross.
I mean, them videos were fun to watch. If I was going to watch an AMA National at the track, I'd look forward to the 125 race.
I remember at WW, that was one of the highlights. That was one of the highlights of the day. I went to WW. I had a friend racing in the 125 race, and you know that big step up at
Yep,
WW that they kind of put in maybe 2 years ago.
yep.
And he was like the ruts up the face of this thing, and he was one of like 4 or 5 guys just sending it in the whole crowd every time, just like losing it after they'd hit it. It was one of the highlights of the day. It was great fun to watch that.
Okay. And we'll now move on to Markov Honda. We're not sure what they're doing.
I I do not believe they're racing. I believe that the riders are either hoping they're gonna be able to show up for outdoors or they're looking for other opportunities to race outdoors. You just don't know
I
yet.
mean, both Mitchell Harrison and Mitchell Oldenburg are very good in their own right. I mean,
I mean, they're
Mitchell
both.
Harrison came out on the Pro Circuit Kawasaki after spending some time in Europe, and I mean, I don't know if you followed his results in Europe, but he was bad. He was really
Yeah,
bad.
yeah,
He struggled to score points. It would be a surprise if he was inside the top 10. And I mean, even some of the flyaway rounds where only the factory riders go to, and then you get some random Indonesian kids go and do it,
yeah.
he would still be at the back. He would literally be the
Mm.
last rider. Um, and then to come from that, can't go back to Europe because of COVID, go and race in the AMA Nationals and for a factory team and do as well as he did surprised me. Um, but
It
yeah,
was just it was good. It was good to see because him and Darian Sinai got that opportunity because they were both lost their
yep,
opportunities to go race GPs because of COVID,
yep,
and I think they both got pro circuit Kawasaki rides as fill-ins for Austin Faulkner and somebody else I can't remember, but
probably Jordan
I
Smith.
think I mean Harrison killed it. Like he was killing it outdoors.
Yeah, so it'd be interesting to see if they line up. Um, I hope they do. I've sort of developed a bit of a fan. Yeah, I'm a fan of Mitchell Harrison now after seeing how poorly he did in Europe and then coming back to America, much the same as Osborne did. Obviously, he didn't stay in Europe as long, but when Osborne first came to
Mm.
Europe, he lived obviously in the UK. He raced a lot of the British races, and I saw him and the progression we saw. Whereas Mitchell Harrison, we didn't see any progression in Europe, and then he gone back to America, and boom, he's there. But I like it,
I
and I
mean,
like what he's done.
unfortunately, what does that say about the level of competition for outdoor motocross in Europe versus America? It must.
Mm,
I mean, it has to say something. I hate to say it, but it shows. It shows a top 10 guy in America is barely a points guy in Europe at this point.
it would be really nice to see something happen to combine. Um, I'd like to see. I mean, last year I thought we were going to get the opportunity. Hurlings was out of the season, out of the MXGP. Like he got injured, and there was a few rounds left, and he was unsure whether he was going to ride. And then there was a bit of talk about him going to America to race the last few rounds, and I wanted him to go.
Mm.
Like if just get him out there and see what he can do. I know he's done one. Was it Ironman a few years ago?
Yeah, he did Iron Man and he won a moto and then he had a last to first comeback.
Yeah. I mean, that was 250s, I believe.
No, that was 450s. That was in 2017 against. I mean, he had Tomac, Baggett, and Muskin, and he whooped them all
On a track that he's never rode.
on a
And
track
it's
he's
not
never
very
rode on a
European.
strange bike.
It's not very European track.
No.
Um, but yeah, I mean, there's a lot of guys that I see from the GPs that I can see transferring over. Prado, I watched a documentary on him that was quite eye-opening. I think it's on YouTube somewhere. That dude I mean, he is fast and he is the next big thing, and he wants to go to America. That's his end goal. He wants to race in America.
Does he
Um,
still want that?
yeah, he still wants that. I think he wants world titles. I think once he grabs that first world title, he'll be on a plane.
Uh,
Um,
I mean, I mean, I know I was so excited because there was a rumor I know he was testing with TLD KTM back like right as he started pro, and he would come to America test for TLD, and there's all these rumors like, oh man, he's
yeah,
coming, and he never did, and then he signed that 450, and then there was a rumor after he was going to 450s that is either he's gonna sign a 450 deal in Europe or he was gonna come race 250s in America, and then he signed the 450 deal, and I was so bummed because like, oh man, that kid. was about to come to America and
I th-
show us what's up,
he will,
and I was
and
so excited to
yeah,
see it.
and the same as Geiser. I know for a fact Geiser trained Supercross, and I mean Geiser's
I
last
mean,
experience of Supercross was
he's
at
done
Monster Cup, and that was
he's done
wild.
Monster Cup.
Yeah, and it was wild. He was
Yeah.
wild, and he is a wild rider, and he's got a lot of work to do before I see him being any good at Supercross because he just crashes his brains out too much. But
Yeah, you cannot do that in Supercross.
he, why would he be training Supercross in Europe, built a Supercross track at his house, if he weren't thinking about going over there?
He's still a
It,
young guy. I think he's
yeah,
Webb. He's younger than Webb. I
20.
think
Yeah,
he's a little bit younger than Webb.
he's early
So
20s. He's going to be eventually. They'll move over. They'll get their world titles. They'll move over. Obviously, Geis will probably be the first. Then that'll free up Prado to battle for the world title. Prado will then get his, and then he'll move over, and it'll just be a concertina effect like that.
mm,
Um, where should we head next? Where should we head next?
I think we should talk about HRC, or we could either do HRC or Star. I mean, do you want to do the
I mean,
small team or the big team, basically?
let's go with the big team.
All right, all
Let's leave the
right.
Hunter brothers till last. The Hunter brothers, the Lawrence brothers.
Lawrence
Um, where do you want to start with Star? I mean, the
I mean,
world's biggest
should
team.
we start at the back and go to the front?
I like it. Jarrett Fry first.
Unfortunately, Jarrett Fry
Yeah.
instantly.
Um,
We both know it. Underperforming.
underperforming, but show glimpses of quality.
I
There,
mean,
there was times where
did
you
he
thought,
get it top 10?
I
Like
believe so.
maybe got one or two,
Let's have a quick.
or maybe but around 10th. Around the 10th place guy, just I think he was getting beat by every factory dude and even a few privateer dudes. I really Jarrett Fry underwhelmed me. That's
Yeah,
the only thing
his
I
best
can.
position was a 10th at Arlington Free.
Mm,
Um, but if you look at his 250 outdoor results from last season, strong.
yeah, yeah.
So,
Fox sixth, Thunder Valley and ninth, like two top tens to finish off the outdoor season last year.
so is he
It's
just struggling with adapting to Supercross? Is he just a predominantly outdoor guy? I mean, we've seen that before. Um, but
And I
not.
mean, you could look at Nate Thrasher. Him and Nate Thrasher were having identical seasons till Nate Thrasher got the win.
Yeah,
They're having the exact same season, both just barely getting to 10th. And then suddenly Thrasher comes, wins, and now he's just a top guy all of a sudden. The same thing could easily happen to Fry. He breaks out, gets a win, and suddenly he's just like, "Oh, here I am now. It's time.
I mean,
I'm gonna compete for this win."
yeah, but I believe he's got it in him. And I mean, if you look at his results from last season outdoors, it clearly shows that he is predominantly a motocross guy. Um, Normally in America, we see that the other way. For me,
Mm,
you see them be predominantly supercross guys. You see people that like Brayton, supercross only deal, don't bother racing outdoors. There's a lot of guys that
mm,
just do supercross, have the summer off, go back to supercross. For me, Fry could be working the other way. Obviously, he does race supercross, but he predominantly is far superior at motocross. We'll obviously see that coming in. I mean, he can't. He hasn't got any excuses on probably the best machinery. He's probably got the best team around him. He's got two Justin Cooper and Colt Nichols. He's got two championship winners from
champions.
Supercross. He's got Jeremy Martin on the team. Yeah, I mean, then you look at the 450 guys that are on the team. I mean, how much help?
Brandis,
Yeah,
last year's champion.
how much help does one need to progress? Like, and then I mean, he's got everything there to propel him to the next level. So it'll be interesting if he gets there. I kind of hope he does. I don't like
I
to
hope
see
he
him
does.
come out of. I don't like to see people come out of amateurs and struggle, like we said
I
earlier
hate
about
yeah.
like.
You hate to see it because like I don't know, in amateurs you become fans of these kids. You see them as kids just coming up, just got this hunger to get into pros, and you see them get to pros. They get that chance they've been waiting for their whole lives,
And it's like a
and
balloon
just
being let off.
to see it not work. Yeah, to see it not work. It's like just like it's just you hate to see it, and you want to see every amateur kid come into pros and succeed, and hopefully Fry can have some breakout rides this outdoor season, and I think he will. I think a few top fives,
Yeah, I see
maybe a
him.
last round podium. You know, this kind of thing you seem to see.
Again, it's so difficult to put. I like to think. I like to try and put a range on where I think people are going to come. But I'm thinking now, I'm sitting there thinking Jarrett Fry. I'm thinking 5 to 20. I mean, I might as well just say he's
Yeah,
going to be a 1 to 40 guy. I can't put a.
could be
There,
anywhere. Could
there's
be anywhere.
there's
I have
no
no idea.
yeah. I can't put a position on majority of the people here.
Do you base it
Um,
off last year's results? Do you base it off the Supercross results? Like, I don't know. It seems like I can't weigh which one in my head is more realistic.
yeah, but it'd be nice to see him do well. I mean, like I said, he's got all the help in the world. He's got
Mm.
Nate Thrasher, who is in a very similar situation as well. I think that really helps. Nate Thrasher,
Yeah,
probably
seeing
about the
seeing that
same
breakthrough
age.
that he can come
Yeah,
through and be there.
it shows that it's possible. But going on to Thrasher, what a Supercross season! Out of
Dude,
nowhere,
like unreal.
out of
The
nowhere.
the the biggest change, like I watched him lead that race. I watched him come around in first, and I was like, oh, he might be on for top five. Maybe he gets that top five. This is
And he
gonna be
just
great for
rode
him.
away.
And then he just starts pulling and pulling and pulling, and I'm like, yo, what's going on? Where's the rest of them? And
It,
then like he crossed the finish line, he wins, and I'm like, what the hell just happened? What the hell just happened? I literally the next day I saw my dad and I went to my dad. I was like, did you see that? What the hell was that? Like I couldn't believe what I just watched, and
uh,
I like it was one of my favorite races of the year.
yeah, 100%. I mean, I don't get to watch much racing with. I believe that was the early race. Was it the
It
earlier
was the
one?
first. It was the first Atlanta round.
Well, yeah, but was it the early like start? Did it
Um.
start earlier than the other ones? Was it like an afternoon race?
Yeah, yeah. It was the day
Yeah,
race. Yeah.
so that was the one I managed to sit down with my dad and watch that one. I mean, that's he obviously loves motocross, but he hasn't really watched much Supercross. I
Mm.
sat down and watched it with him. I was like, it's probably the normal guys that will win this. Like the 250 is a bit like it's the factory guys, and then there's the factory guys that are like backups for the main factory guys, and then it's like the
Yeah, yeah.
privateers, and then the 450 class will be all right. And then Nate Thrasher goes and wins and just blows my theory way out the water. But yeah, fair play to him. And then to do it again, what
Yeah, and he
a
did
week
it.
later.
Atlanta 3. Yeah. So Atlanta 2 he didn't, and then Atlanta 3 came back and won again. Back it up.
What do you think about the
I mean,
situation of pulling him out for the last round?
I wasn't a big fan. I understand it. I understand why they did it. But I mean, I didn't love it. I didn't like it. And I mean, it's too early in his career to be worrying about him pointing out his first year.
Yeah, and
It's like you can't like I hate how that's become like normal. I don't like it at
I
all.
feel
But,
like keep the
it's
confidence moving, like keep it rolling. He was on
it's
such a good
almost
run of form that just keep him going, keep it ticking over. Now he's thinking, "Oh, I haven't raced in ages. I missed the last round of Supercross." He's like, "I don't really know where I am compared to everyone else." He could have had that last round of Supercross, finished whatever fifth, maybe in the showdown, wherever he'd have finished, and then think, "Right, I'm ready for outdoors now. I'm at the same stage as everyone else." He's missed that. I mean, I know he's been preparing for outdoors, but he's missed that at Supercross. He's lost that bit of momentum. Is he going to come in
mm,
outdoors the way he left Supercross? It just seems weird, like win a race on a
mm,
Saturday, and then nah, I'm not going to race next week.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's and we didn't get a chance to see him. So we go to Atlanta and it's just he's suddenly comes alive. And then we go back to Salt Lake City and we have one chance left to see Thrasher on a normal Supercross track. Because if you remember, Atlanta was I believe Atlanta, I
Daytona-esque. Yeah,
think Salt Lake was the only that showdown was the only race after Atlanta. That was the only chance to see
yeah.
him, this new revised form of Nate Thrasher that could suddenly contend for wins on a normal Supercross track, and we missed that. It's now coming to next season. I'm gonna be having this giant question mark on my head. Like, can Nate Thrasher only contend in these weird like
Hybrid tracks. Yeah,
NASCAR stadium hybrid tracks, or can he contend for races in a real normal Supercross or a regular normal Supercross track?
you was at Daytona, right?
He
Did
was at Daytona, but yeah, he was
did
just he was same nowhere. Just
20th? Yeah, did he have a problem or?
no, but it was just Daytona and Atlanta are different. Daytona's a different animal. I like Atlanta, they're both NASCAR tracks, but Atlanta was much more supercrossy. Daytona's really not that supercrossy.
See, I'm looking
Like it
here.
has the rhythm sections, but it's really like the dirt and everything. It just you, it's different than Atlanta.
See, I'm looking here, and Thrasher finished 20th at Daytona.
Yeah,
Um,
he must have crashed out or had an issue like that.
but he was only one lap down, so he got lapped once. He's lapped on 1:4. His best lap of the race, 1:14.4. Top lap of the race, a 1:10.1, and everyone else is in
Yeah, that's
11s, 12s. He was one of the slowest.
yeah. Might have had like a first turn crash,
Mm,
bent up bike, who knows? But yeah, I just have that big question mark over him. Not necessarily for outdoors. For outdoors, I trust he's going to come in and be a top 10 guy at this point just because he has that confidence. But I'm just more concerned about going next season to Supercross. Is he going to be like, can I only perform at these hybrid
yeah,
tracks, or can I do it at the normal Supercross
and
track?
we'll see less hybrid tracks next year. Hopefully, with COVID gone, or it's slowly edging its way out. They're not going to do triple headers at, well, they
At
might,
Atlanta, yeah.
but they
I mean, I don't know. They might, because
it seemed to
it's
go
hard to
down well.
say.
It seemed to go
But
down well. People seem to enjoy
everybody
it.
seemed to like it. Everybody seemed to
Yeah,
like it. How the season went.
and I'm all for having Supercross on a Saturday,
On a NASCAR,
Wednesday.
yeah.
Yeah,
I
but
like these NASCAR tracks. I'm a big fan of them. That
I'm
it brings something interesting
uh,
to a sport that can get pretty monotonous when you're 17 rounds deep and you're seeing what's almost the exact same track.
I was
So
really disappointed by the last round's track.
yeah,
Tight,
that's
boring.
mm,
I mean, I don't
mm,
want it to be flat out. I don't, but it just looked like it was boring. It was like a 40-second lap time. Where the
yeah,
fuck's Vegas? Go
yeah.
and do it at Vegas again.
Weird.
Get outside the stadium.
Interesting. Vegas Stadium's gone.
Oh,
They tore it down. A new stadium's being built, and I don't think it's finished yet. So there's not a Vegas stadium for
but
them to race in.
but they did it before when they went outside the stadium. Where was that?
That was Salt Lake. They were supposed to go outside of the stadium at Salt Lake, but I don't know why they just haven't done it.
Hmm. But last year, Thrasher, he raced two pro motocrosses, 13th at Thunder Valley, 11th Fox Raceway, first outdoor season. That ain't bad.
And I mean, that was a guy who'd been racing KTM's his whole amateur career and suddenly had this, remember that massive switch where
Yep.
KTM and Yamaha essentially traded riders. They got Barsha for Thrasher. Or Yamaha essentially traded Barsha to the KTM group so they could get Thrasher coming onto their squad because he was like the hottest amateur prospect when he was coming up. So that's a kid who's never ridden a Yamaha before coming in with a week's worth of riding and doing that. So who knows what he can do with a whole year's worth of preparation.
I like it. Um, this is a tough one now.
Which which of the three title guys? I hate to say it, but I put Colt Nichols at third out of those three
I agree.
because he's never won an outdoor race. He's never won an outdoor race.
No. Um, I like him. I like his personality. He looks chilled out. He seems chilled out. Um,
He's like a unique existence among like motocross
he is.
racers. Like he's not like the typical guy you see. Like him and Bogle show up in their outfits. They're all like dressed up. They look good. They look cool. They're feeling themselves. Like he's not the average motocross racer, and he's fast as anything too. Like he's got this interesting story where he comes from like he was not on a factory. He did not come into the pros on a factory team. He had to
No.
work his ass off to get
Yep.
onto that factory team. Did you ever catch the Gypsy Tales podcast where he's telling the story of how he got into Star Yamaha? He
No,
literally
I haven't.
he knew Cooper Webb. He'd call Cooper Webb in the morning, say, "Hey, what track are you guys going to?" And he'd follow the Star team to every track and just hop on. But every time the Star guys got up for the motoring day, he'd just hop on right behind them, and he'd just run with them. And that's essentially how he got into the team. Like he got a podium in a race, and they all already knew him. They're like, yeah, he's busting our guys' asses at Elsinore every week.
It's
And so that's how he got
persistent.
on the team. And
Yeah,
just like epic story like that. Like he gets them a title. He gets them a title. Like I want to see him do well as
yeah,
outdoors, and
he's.
I believe he will. But I just don't have the evidence yet to prove that he's gonna be able to win.
I mean, he didn't race outdoors last year. Um, his races from 2019. I mean, it's hit and miss. I mean, third at Hangtown, fifth Parla, sixth Thunder Valley, fifth High Point, seventh at WW, eighth Southwick, seventh Redbud, sixth Spring Creek, eighth Washougal, fifth Unadilla, 41st at Budds Creek.
Mm.
Um,
I trust that Nichols is going to be a regular podium contender and is going to get a win or two in there.
That shows
I
that, like,
don't
even
I'm
from
not
two
ready to
years
call
ago.
him for the title though.
No, I mean consistency might get it, like we were saying earlier. That it's going to be so wide open this
Mm,
year, and so Justin Cooper can go and win round one. He might finish
mm,
eighth overall at round two, and it just pings around. I think
yeah.
because there's so many people that are going to be there or thereabouts, it's going to ping around so much. So it is definitely going to be an interesting dynamic. But like I said, I think Colt Nichols will be very consistent. I mean, you look at his
Mm.
season from 2019; he wasn't outside the top 10 apart from Budds Creek, where he finished 41st, which must have been an
And
injury or a
and I
crash
mean
or
he's
something.
only improved. He's
Yeah,
only improved.
yeah, he's come on a long way since then. I mean, look at his Supercross season; he wasn't off the podium.
Yeah, like mind blowing, honestly, to not get off
Yeah.
the podium for whole Supercross season. I think you could probably count on your hands the number of times that's been done.
So yeah, he's definitely got the momentum rolling. So it'll be interesting to see where he goes. I mean, this is his sixth year in professional racing, so he's what is he 27? He's gonna be looking.
I believe it was a bit younger than that, but yeah, in
No,
that
he is
mid 20s.
94,
Yeah.
so he is 27. Um,
Oh, he is.
mm,
Okay, and I thought he was like 25, 26. All right, so yeah, yeah,
he's
definitely
he's
getting
gonna
up
be
there.
looking
Wants to
for a
move up,
450.
wants to
Yeah,
get out.
yeah, he's gonna be one looking for a 450 ride, 100%. And I mean, he's gonna be disappointed that he's not. Yeah, he's gonna be disappointed that Tomac took that ride
Mm.
because it's one less spot for him on Yamaha.
Yeah. Yep.
But you look at 450s, and there is a lot of guys that,
There's a lot of shuffling going on
yeah,
right
there is
now,
going
and
to
I
be a
think
lot
there's
of
a lot
movement.
of guys signing their final 450 contracts right now. I
You
think
look at
Anderson's about to
Marvin,
sign one of his last few contracts. Tomac signing his last contracts. Muskin signing his last contracts. Osborne will be signing his last contracts, and like
Wilson, he's
you're
probably
gonna have
getting
in
close
like the next like 2 to 4 years, you're gonna have a wave of these guys that we've been following for the past 5 or 6 years just
on something.
retiring.
Yep,
And the new class, the new guard will be coming up. The guys like AC, Webb's already there, Ferrandis, Plessinger, Sexton, like the guys like that, like the guys like Roxon, Tomac, Anderson, those guys are coming. Those guys are kind of on their way out now. They're kind of like on the back end of their careers. And you got these guys coming up, and it's all gonna be chasing Webb. But yeah, Nichols is definitely gonna be looking to snatch up one of those rides as these guys retire.
all I'll say is I know we go back onto this retiring point, but Europeans tend to last longer. I don't see Roxon going yet, and I see another couple of years at least out of. I can see Marvin going first because he's had
Well,
that.
he's the oldest. He's the
Yeah,
oldest. 31 now.
he will go first, but I can see Roxon keeping going for a while. I think he wants that
I've
title,
heard.
and I can also
I've.
possibly see Roxon going back to the GPs. I
I
know
was
he's
about to
got,
say that. Yeah.
I know he's
I've
got,
heard he wants to go back
I know
to
he's got a
finish off his career.
family and shit like that in America now. But I could see him going back to the GPs. Maybe just a bit of a little swan song, like fucking Villapoto did. He went back,
Hmm.
did a year. I know
Yeah.
that didn't work out, but Roxon's been there, done that before. He knows how it works. I think that'd be interesting. Imagine if they both went back and renewed their little rivalry.
That would be insane. I mean, who wouldn't love to see that?
But yeah, it's definitely interesting. Um,
All right, out of the next two, Cooper and Martin, I have to pick Cooper for second out of those
I
two. Like
agree. I
Cooper,
agree. I've got a lot to say about Jeremy Martin. Most people might not agree, but we'll get on to him next. But Justin Cooper, another great season. He-
finally got that title.
yeah, he did. Yeah, and he deserves it. I'm not his biggest fan,
Mm,
but you
I
cannot
like
doubt that
I like
man
this.
is talented.
I do like I do like the story. Straight A high school student does a year
100%.
of
Yeah,
college, all
100%.
while just building this amateur career, which just culminates in his final year, which just propels him into the spotlight. Goes into pros and instantly gets a podium. Like his second ever pro race at Unadilla in the mud, he gets a podium. On to Star Racing, and he's just been like a top guy ever since. Like his second year in 2018 or 20, I believe it was 2018 was the year AP ended up winning the title. Like he's just in that podium spot just instantly. 2019, you had him winning like the first every time, like the first 4 rounds he won the first moto, and then AC'd win the second moto.
Yep.
And then 2020, you definitely saw like a dip in his performance because he had injury. But I mean, the dude rides outdoors like a machine. Like
He
however
does, yep.
good he is in Supercross, dude's way better outdoors.
And
So
he's got that.
seeing him that good in Supercross the rest of the dudes better be so scared coming
Yeah,
into outdoors.
and he's got that thing where if he has a bad start or he goes down first turn, he's got that fire in him to just fucking blitz the field, and he can go from
Yeah,
40th to the top five in a matter of laps. There's
easily.
not many. I mean, there is guys that will do that, but there's not many guys that would do it. And we've seen do it so consistently as he has, because he starts on great. That's what lets him down.
Mm.
If he can,
Well, I don't know. His starts are okay. Supercross, I don't really remember. They weren't great in Supercross, but outdoors, like not last year, but the
the
previous
year
years, he's had
before,
pretty good
yeah,
starts.
the year before, I seem to remember that because he was going on that little winning streak, and
Yeah,
I'd be watching, I'd be
yeah,
like, oh, for fuck's sake, he's got the whole shot again. It just makes it a boring race.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
But
yeah.
over
But
the last
I
few years, I feel like they've dropped off, and there's definitely times where he crashes early on, and he makes the race a lot harder for himself than it has to be. Previous years, I feel like you could get away with that. This year might be a bit tougher,
mm,
but
yeah, it's gonna be hard to come through a field that deep.
definitely when you're thinking there's 22 factory guys, so you're going to be getting to factory guys way before you get to points.
It's gonna be weird. It's gonna be hard passing a guy for eighth place when that guy in eighth place believes that he should be passing the guy in
Yep,
seventh place, and get like
yep,
everybody now believes that they should be in first from way deeper than before.
yep.
So it's just gonna be so different, and I'm excited to see that. And I think Cooper, like, dude's got heart. Like, I don't know if
Mm.
you remember Asin, MX of Nations, breaks his hand in the first round, breaks his hand on the first
Yeah, I
lap of
was
the
there.
first moto, does the whole rest of the moto, and comes back for the second moto. Like, dude's got heart like you wouldn't believe, and he's gonna do it. If I had to pick two main contenders, he's definitely one of them.
Yeah, and I'll give the Americans that. Assen is a tough track on his good day. I was there
And on
that
a
day.
shit wet day.
Oh my god, that was wet. I was cold. I was drenched through. The bit of the stand I was stood in had no cover. I was literally no umbrella, nothing. I was just soaked. That track was like soup. It was disgusting. And at one point, we drove all the way there. And at one point, I thought they're going to call this off, and there was talk going around that they was just going to cancel it. It was that bad. And
Mm.
I mean, you'll probably agree with me. The Americans aren't known for riding sand as good as the Europeans,
Uh,
and they're not
Absolutely.
known for riding the wet as good as Europeans. And then combining them two, you expect it to be a fucking shit show. But he gave it everything.
He gave it everything he had, and it's all you can ask for. I mean, as Americans, we went into that pretty confident that we weren't about to win this nation's. So all I could have asked for them is that they all gave it their best effort and just do like if I wasn't a fan of him before that race, like I had to be a fan of him after that. Seeing him just like beat down, just like literally broken hand,
He did.
going out there and just putting in a 30+2 for his country, just
There was a
that had to
point
make me
where he
proud.
looked like he was really struggling as well.
Yeah.
Like the like where the grandstand was, there was a right hander where I mean bikes were getting stuck on the front wheel in this,
Mm,
and he. I mean, there was a couple of times where he just went round the outside of the corner, where he thought, "I'm not even going to bother trying to go through there."
yeah.
But it was bad. But on the plus side, Great Britain got on the podium on the last lap.
Yeah. Chad Paulsen just bike blowing up on the last lap. Poor guy. Poor guy.
But yeah.
Should we move
Um,
on? Should we move on to who my personally is my main contender for the title?
ooh, Jeremy Martin.
Miss, Mr. Jeremy Martin.
Right. I'm going to start this off. I am probably his least favorite fan. Wait, that doesn't make
Oh,
sense, but
you. Yeah, I understand what you mean. Yeah.
I do not. It's very contrasting because Alex Martin, loved the guy, such a nice
Mm.
personality. Why do I feel like Jeremy Martin is the complete opposite to that? I just feel like he comes across so. I mean, he's got a little bit of a reason to, but he's so up his own ass. He's so overconfident. He's cocky. And let's be honest, he hasn't won anything for what, 6 years?
Since last year. Well, oh, titles, yeah, titles
Yeah,
6 years, yeah, yeah.
yeah.
2015 outdoors was the last time you won.
And I still feel like he comes across as he's like, I mean, you have to believe you're the best. I get that, but
Yeah.
there's a way of presenting yourself. There's guys that. I just feel like when he gets on the TV, I can't listen to it.
Mm.
Whereas Alex Martin, I can listen to his videos. I could watch them back to back to back to back to back. But Jeremy Martin, I can't. I'm not doubting that the dude is super, super talented on a bike. Unbelievable. Yeah, he's had some horrendous luck with injuries. That injury he had, where was that? Is it hot? No, not High Points. Fuck me, I can't think.
Muddy Creek.
Muddy
Muddy
Creek,
Creek.
that's the one. Um, was that just coming? That was him just coming back from injury as well, wasn't it? Or was he?
Last year outdoors. This is him coming back
No,
from
but
injury.
when he crashed at Muddy Creek, was that him just coming back from injury? I feel like,
Um, I
or was
can't
he
remember.
winning
I
the
think
championship?
what?
Was he winning the championship that year and then he crashed? There seems to I
Um,
seem to remember a circumstance where he with
I
that
believe it was
injury.
2018. He was in the fight. He was still well in the fight. Like, I don't know if he was in. I think he might have had the lead too, like you said. And then him and Justin Cooper come together in the air at Muddy Creek, breaks his back, and
Yep,
he's out until 2020.
that's a
And
long
then
layoff. I mean, the dude got a job. He gained a bit of respect there. He went and
mm,
lived a normal life. He went and got a normal job in a shop. He wanted to carry on, and the best interview that I've ever listened to from him was when he said like he realized what the real world is like, and he's lucky to
yeah,
be in the situation he's in, and I get that. But the dude's a badass. He's gonna do all right. I do have him in my top three ish this season if he stays fit, obviously.
I just
And I hope he does because
me
for the sake of his career, because I feel like he needs to take that next step and go to 450. Um,
just me personally, I judge like last year. If Jeremy Martin was on a Star Racing Yamaha, he wins that title.
yeah,
He was that close on a Geico Honda, which everybody's heard the rumors. That's like the worst bike. That was the worst Honda. That was the worst 250 in the factory. That was the worst factory 250 on the track. And for him to come second and put the fight to a Star Racing Yamaha, and not just Star Racing Yamaha, Dylan Ferrandis, a guy who's like straight up beat Jeffrey Hurlings on a like for him to put a fight to that guy, and that guy's on a Star Racing Yamaha, and he's on the worst bike in the field. Put him on that bike. There's no way he doesn't win the title. So I'm coming into this title like Jeremy Martin. I almost like it's his title to lose for me. Like he should be winning this title.
is inconsistency going to cost him?
I don't think so because he's never been an inconsistent guy.
He always seems, for me, he crashes. He okay, the incident at Muddy Creek was a rare occurrence where it's a big crash, but he always seems to have them little. He makes mistakes. I mean, everyone will say he makes mistakes. He could be 30 seconds out and he'll just tip over in a corner and he'll be fine. But this year, I don't think people are going to be 30 seconds out.
Mm,
That could make the
yeah,
difference. There could be people right behind him. He could crash. He could be in second place. He could crash on lap 7, and he could lose a little tip over in a corner. He could lose 8 positions. It could be that close.
so
It,
I'm looking. I mean, like his results last year, his worst overall is a fourth
that's good.
at Red Bud, and I just see that a dude who can put that kind of consistency, and if he can eliminate the tip overs, which I mean, even then, like he seems to be able to recover pretty
He
well
does,
from
yeah.
them. If he can, like, he missed the podium one time in the entire outdoor season last year. He missed the podium one time, and that was by one spot.
That shows how
So
good
that
Ferrandis' season
and
was.
that's on that Geico. Like he had, like to me, like it'd be unbelievable for him not to win this title for
Yeah, I mean, definitely he's in there with the title favourites. You can't discount that.
me.
No matter if I like him, dislike him,
Mm.
but he is going to be there or thereabouts. Do you think if he wins this title, we see him on a 450?
Yeah, I think this is like they have to. Like
He's
he's
running out of
already
time.
won two. I think he gets a four. If he wins this title, I think he finally gets a 450 contract. I
Didn't he
think,
race 450
especially
before
depending.
briefly?
No, he's done one-off races on a 450. He
Yep,
actually his first ever 450 Supercross race at Daytona was a one-off race he did last year. He got a podium. He got second.
yep.
He led over half the
I
race.
seem to remember
and
him
got a
on a
podium.
450. That's all.
Yeah, yeah, he did Daytona on a 450. He got second after leading like over half the race. It was a pretty good race to watch actually.
But yeah, I mean, he will be there. I just hope for his sake that he has a good season, so his career can progress. Because like he is running out of time. He's not one of the young guys in this class. He's, if not one of the oldest. It's only his brother that's probably beating him on age. Um, so I just, for his sake, I do hope he does well. I hope he gets the 450 contract. I mean, like we said earlier, there is going to be a lot of movement in the 450 class, so there probably will be spots opening up. Um, so for his sake, I hope he does well and
Mm.
can take that next step, because I see him more so as a 450 rider than I do as a 250. I think
I
he'd
think he
be
has the talent to do it outdoors on a 4. I don't know if he has the. I don't know if he has Supercross
finesse.
on a 450,
Yeah,
but
I don't know.
I do believe he has the talent to put it to be like a Zach Osborne type, where
Yeah,
he can put it down on a 4. He can put it down outdoors, and he could get someone a title.
yeah, 100%. I do think he's, like you say, his style outdoors will suit a 450, and he
Mm.
reminds me a little bit of Tomac. The way a little bit, he's got that
Yeah.
outright speed when he
Mm.
needs it. If he
Yeah.
needs that extra 10%, he'll find that extra 10%. Whereas there's some guys that they ride at 100%, and there's no going down, there's no going up. Like they don't tone
Yeah.
it down when they have to, they don't increase it when they have to. So he's got
Yeah.
that. He can fluctuate. I just hope it goes well
Yeah.
for him.
All right, should we move on? Mm.
Yeah, let's go on to
Yeah.
the final factory team.
Well, I think the most interesting outfit for this outdoor season, the Hunter brother. Or now you got me saying it, the Lawrence
Yeah,
brothers.
new thing, the Hunter brothers.
The
Right.
Hunter brothers.
I mean, my favorite guys. I mean, how good are these two for the sport?
Yeah, I mean they're the best. They're the best. Like,
Did you see their
I mean,
interview
you
on Race
watch
Day
Hunter.
Live?
I haven't seen that, but just like the moment that is Hunter just ghost
Ghost you.
riding his bike off to just give Jet a hug, just like it's one of the best. That's
It
like moment
is.
of the season. That's
It,
like moment of the season.
in theory, I mean, he never expected to win the title, but he went into that race thinking he could have possibly, if all went completely his way, he could have won the title. He knew when he went over that finish line in third place that he didn't win the title. He didn't give a shit. He was sending that bike no matter what.
I mean, like
There'd be
part
some people
like
out there that would be disappointed, and he was not disappointed.
I mean, just a dude that's happy with what he's got. Like a dude that is grateful for everything he
Yeah,
has cuz like he's been at that low point where he was about to quit. He was so close to retiring last year, but he held it in and what not one single person expected him to do, which is come out, win a race, get second in the title. Like no one expected that from him
no.
after his performance last at Salt Lake and Supercross. Like it was something magical. It
He
was something magical. It was something you did not expect.
he exceeded expectations for me this Supercross season massively. I thought he'd be
Mm.
there or thereabouts. Like you said, I didn't expect him to win a race. I didn't expect him to be there for every race. Um, but he put himself in the mix every race, and there was times where he was down early on in a race, and he'd charge through, and he'd be running the quickest lap times in the race. He'd be charging through the field, and it's not something I really seen from him. I mean, I've seen him race a
Yeah.
few times in Europe, most notably at the Nations. Is it 2017? You in GB?
Uh,
Okay, I'm shit at years.
yes, yeah, yeah,
So
yeah, no,
when
yeah.
Matley Basin, he was unbelievable that day.
So
Absolutely unbelievable.
interestingly, that same year at the end of the GP season in WW Ranch, I was at that watching him there, absolutely on rails. Like I think he ended up second overall because Hampshire ended up going 1-1
Yeah,
that day.
yeah, he did. That's his
But
best ever GP finish.
his best ever. But Hunter Lawrence just absolutely put on like a show that dude was riding so well, like, and we were all losing our minds whenever he came through. This dude was just pushing so hard. He passed Seward, who was like competing for the title, and he was just like the rookie teammate, and he just came through the pack and he put on an absolute like charge that day, and I instantly became a Hunter Lawrence fan. And then especially when I heard he was coming to America,
So that was
and
the
then
year. So he was on
that was
Suzuki then.
on Suzuki's that year. Yeah, that
So he
was
was on Factory Suzuki then, and then he lost that ride the year after, I believe, and went to
that team folded. Yeah,
yeah. So
team
then he went
folded, and
to
then
Honda
114.
114, and I mean that bike. No, I
was
mean that's
trash.
yeah,
It was
it's
useless. It
like a
was
stock
useless.
bike, and he still performed on that. And
Yeah,
then you think, right, this dude's got something. Like he
yeah,
can do something. It wasn't like a quick progress. Uh,
yeah.
it wasn't a steady progression when he was doing GPs. He was
He was
he
out
was
out the gate pretty good,
yeah, but
like pretty amazing.
he started off quite slow for me. He started off quite slow, and then he sort of picked it up, and he was hovering at like top tens, and he stayed there for a while, and then all of a sudden something clicked, and he was there. And I
Mm.
mean, that day at Matley Basin, he was unbelievable. Uh, um, I
I think
mean,
he passed Osborne that day.
yep.
The reigning American 250 outdoor champ. He just catches and
I
passes
mean,
him
yeah,
that
the
day.
track was slick. It was wet. I mean, we're in the Great Britain. In Great Britain, what do you expect? But it was damp. I mean, Great Britain had a great chance of winning it that day, and I spent more time watching Hunter Lawrence absolutely shredded. It was ridiculous the speed he was going around that track. I mean, Anstey went 1-1, but he was
And
long
then,
gone, so we watched the rest of the race instead. But
and I
yeah,
mean, first year in AMA outdoors, wins a race,
yep.
wins a
Was that
or at least wins a moto. I can't remember if he
was that
won a
Fox?
moto at I believe he won a moto at Fox, and then he also won a moto at Spring Creek at Millville.
Yeah, he's definitely gonna be there. For me, he's gonna be another one, along with Jeremy Martin. And I feel like Hunter Lawrence is consistent. I feel like
Yeah,
he'll always be a podium guy.
that absolutely. I'm in the same boat. I see him as a top five guy, podium guy regularly. Few
Yeah.
wins, few wins, multiple wins for sure.
See, according to this, did he win a race?
I don't know if he's won an overall, but he's won motos.
Okay. See, I'm sure I've seen him win.
No, yeah, he's won motos. But he's not at a yet. I don't think he won a moto at Fox because he crashed. Remember,
He's
and
won at
AC passed him.
High Point in 2019 and Spring Creek.
Yeah,
But yeah, he's gonna be there or thereabouts. He will always put on a performance. And we saw, for me, going in Supercross, I look at Hunter Lawrence, I think if he has a bad start, he won't be able to get through the pack. I know the Supercross field wasn't ridiculously strong this year throughout the
because it
field,
gets yeah.
but he still, if he had a bad start, I mean, the showdown, he went down. Did he? Yeah, he did crash in the showdown, didn't he?
Yeah, he did crash, and he
Got
still came back
got
and
back up,
passed McAdoo for that
back to third.
podium. Yeah,
So he's definitely got the ability to charge, but he's such a nice rider to watch. It looks so effortless,
mm.
such a nice style. Barely looks
Just
like he's
that.
trying,
Yeah.
and yeah, he's gonna. He's. I hope he does well. I mean, I'm all for another Aussie being unreal in America. Like I
Well,
said, massive
I
Chad Reed
mean,
fan. Let's get a couple
and
more.
we're lucky enough to get two Aussies
Yeah,
fucking the
let's
same time.
let's go to his younger brother, Jet Lawrence.
America's favorite rider. America's new favorite rider.
Yeah,
Jet
that's
Lawrence.
coming from American. That's not me saying that.
I mean, can you argue? Can you argue?
What a personality.
I just want to shout out real quick. The Lawrence brothers live in this moved to America. They live in the same town as me.
Well, go and say hello.
I will
Knock on
try.
their door.
One day I hope to run into them
Get them on the show.
at a grocery store, and I'll be like, Jet, my homie Jack has this this thing. I know you go on Gypsy Tales and Pulpabex. Come on the homies podcast real quick, dude.
Just for 10 minutes. Let's just have a chat.
Just 10 minutes,
I'll look at
just.
your shoe collection.
Yeah, yeah. We'll
But
give you
yeah,
donuts. I'll buy you some donuts. But yeah, he's absolutely ridiculous.
and it pains me to
Like,
look at date of birth, August the 9th, 2003.
you hate to see it. You hate to see it.
No, he's 17 years old, and he's already,
Just,
the
just,
list of accomplishments is just
just
growing.
to be that good at that young, it makes you think about yourself.
It does. And the thing is with Jet Lawrence, he was over in America, over in Europe when Hunter was trying out the GPs. Jet was racing the EMX 250 class, and I'll be honest, he was not And you think, right, he's just over here, he's racing because his brother's racing, sort of thing.
Mm. But
And
I
then
mean,
you,
also at the same time, it's a 14-year-old kid, 13, 14-year-old kid doing that.
yeah, I mean, but there was a lot of
Yeah.
youngsters in there. But you think,
Yeah,
right,
yeah,
he's
yeah.
just racing now because his brother's over here racing like the main class. And then you start hearing rumours that he's going to be better than his brother, and you think, well, you're looking at these results, he's not. And then again, like a switch, boom, he's the next big thing. He's quicker than his brother, roughly about the same. They'll argue that. I'll let them argue
Uh,
that. And uh, what a career he's going to have. I hope he stays in this for a while.
I hope he. I mean, I know he'll stay in America. This, I doubt he'll ever want to go back to GPs. So I know he'll stay in America. And I mean, the kid has like a Chad Reed-esque career ahead of him if he plays his
He
cards
does, yeah.
right. Maybe
Yeah.
with, I mean, with more titles. I
Oh,
assume like
100%.
if he does it how we all think he's gonna do it, this kid's gonna be a multi-time Supercross and outdoor champion in the 250 and the 450 class. Like, and I mean his brother too. I think his brother is easily gonna be a 250 champion and a
Yeah.
450 champion. Like I see them both being champions, and I think
I mean, it's an awkward situation for the family because you think as parents, you think, fuck, I wish I had them 5 years apart. But because they're going to be
I mean
they're always going to be competing against each other. The family
I
could
mean
have 20 titles, but instead they're going to walk away with 10.
I mean, they nearly did. They're 4 years apart. Hunter's 21, Jet's 17. I mean, it's just Jet just progresses that fast.
Yeah,
It's like you just that's how fast you go. Like there's nothing to say about it. It's just the younger brother, man. The younger brother always gets, not always, but just seems to get the talent. Look at Jeremy Martin. Look at, I mean, Ryan Dungey. He's the younger
yeah,
brother of his older brother is Chase Sexton's mechanic.
yeah, Jade, yeah. But Jet finished fourth last year. I mean,
And outdoor, yeah, yeah.
yeah, solid season, not bad.
So,
Came in
for,
pretty good. Did he win any
I mean,
races? He won races. I mean, he won the last. Was it the last month of the year?
yeah, like he won Paula, yeah.
Yeah, it went
I mean, for a rookie
1-2.
season,
Yeah, to
fourth
win the
place in a
last
rookie
round,
season, what more could you ask for?
not a lot. And I mean, he had a bad Loretta Lynn's. Did he have bike problems at Loretta Lynn's? I believe he did.
Oh yeah, he did. Yeah, I believe the whole Geico team ended up, almost
Yeah,
the whole Geico team ended up on the side of the track at that one.
so sixth at Loretta Lynn's one, 34th at two, fifth, sixth, fourth, sixth, first, sixth. Wait, I've gone past it now. But yeah, it.
Top,
Other than that
easily top 10.
34th, he's consistently, and that's his first year. And you think
And
how
he's,
much he's progressed now. I just, for me, it's difficult to look past him thinking he's going to do this year. 17 years old. By the end of the year, he'll be 18. What an 18th birthday present.
I mean,
Go and win an outdoor title.
he could do it. He could do it. I mean, the only reason I am absolutely just like Jeremy Martin's gonna win is because I mean he's a rookie. We haven't seen
Yeah,
him. We haven't seen him. Or he's not a rookie anymore, but I mean we've only seen him as a rookie in at outdoors. We got to see that. I have to see that progression before I can be ready to just to call him for the title. And same with Hunter. Like we've seen those flashes from Hunter. We've seen those wins, but they're sporadic. They don't
yeah,
come every round, and he has those rounds. Hunter has those rounds where he's out, he's crashing, he's just out of the top 10. And with Jet, you didn't really see that last year, but you also didn't see like that the constant podiums. Like so this year, I'm looking to see some constant podiums from both those brothers, and I mean they could easily shock and do some damage, maybe take a title home.
yeah, 100%. And I hope they get on the podium together because them two together, the best combination ever.
Mm.
Constant laughs. They make it entertaining. How many more people do you think them guys have brought into the sport?
I'd reckon a good few. I'd
Because
reckon a good few. Or
before
at
you
least
get,
people that have given it a chance and maybe stayed with it
yes,
because they saw Jet Lawrence on the podium.
because people, you do a normal TV interview, yeah, they say the normal things. They say, yeah, well, we'll look forward to the next race. I did my job tonight. Them two, they just want to have a laugh. They make it
Like
like normal people. They're not like out there saying the right things for the sponsors. They're out there just to be themselves, be a normal person. And it's so nice to see that it's not all corporate and it's
Yeah, like
like
if you
the
look
other
at
ones are scripted. They've got a piece of paper in front of them reading it.
like a star Yamaha, like if you look at a Justin
Yep.
Cooper and Nate Thrasher, I was watching their podium interviews like, Jesus, it's a good thing we got Jet and Hunter,
Yep.
so at least some kind of interesting podium interview can go on. Like if it's just if it's a world full of Thrashers and Justin Coopers, we're gonna have some pretty boring
Yeah.
podium interviews. We need, and I know those guys aren't boring people. I know they're interesting people. It's just it's so hard to
They
find a
have to
person
do. Yeah.
who can just transfer that to on camera. And it's just somehow, man, you got two Lawrence brothers who are just ready to be who they are on camera and
Yeah.
just be what we need.
Right. So I think that rounds off all the main riders, main teams for the series. So we're going to end this podcast with Chad. Who do you think is your top five coming into the series? Go down from 5 to 1, and then we want to hear your top five at the end of the series, back from 5 to 1 as well.
Okay, top five,
Coming into
pretty
the series, so
basic.
that like
I'm
takes
going.
into account like confidence, momentum from
Yeah,
Supercross.
my top five is it's in order. It's gonna be Colt Nichols, Hunter Lawrence, Jet Lawrence, Justin Cooper, Jeremy Martin.
Okay, I like it. Martin straight at the top, straight in.
I mean, it's just I've the evidence I have, I can't argue with it. The only knock against him is just that he wasn't able to do Supercross, but then he also didn't do Supercross. He's been riding outdoors, so
Yeah,
it's just for me going into the season, it's just who I predict. I could easily change, but I'm gonna go with the safe call,
I like it.
J Mar.
I like it. I'm still piecing mine together.
Mm.
Um, and I'm going a little bit different. I'm going Seth Hamaker coming into the series. I'm going Seth Hamaker fifth because he had a solid Supercross season. We spoke about him. We said that he's going to be a lot better at nationals. He's done it before. He knows where he's at. Um, fourth, Hunter Lawrence had a great end to the season. Finished second in the Supercross series. We'll want to take the momentum in. Third, Justin Cooper, always solid outdoors. Just come off a title. He, for me, a great rider. I just hope he's consistent enough. I hope he stays injury free. Second, this is going to disappoint Chad because I'm going J Martin second. Obviously missed Supercross. We know how good he is outdoors. As much as I'm not a massive fan, I want him to do well. I want him to get him in that 450 class. I want him to mix it up in there. So he's going second. And for me, Jet Lawrence at the top, coming in hot, won the shootout, great Supercross series. I feel like he's better outdoors than he is at Supercross. And I'm excited to see what he can do this year. And hopefully he can win the title. So we'll do top three at the end. Who's going to be your podium at the end of the season?
Podium, I think it's. Do you mean like podium at like of the title or at
Yeah,
the
yeah.
last race
No.
of the
So,
title?
yeah.
Okay, so in third, huh? In third of the title, I'm gonna put Hunter. In second in the title, I'm gonna put Cooper, Dustin Cooper, and then first I'm gonna put Martin. I think Hunter's experience will put him a Jet might have those few races, man. Those few doesn't work out, bike breaks down, crashes out. Or I just see Hunter as being like he's got more experience. I know the results might not show it thus far in AMA, but he's just got that experience. And
Well,
I see him taking that win.
I like
Or
it.
that win over Jet.
We can see
And
you're a
then
massive Jeremy Martin fan
I'm not necessarily a
here.
Jerry Martin fan. I just want to be right.
Yeah, and you're taking the safe option.
Yeah, I'm playing safe. You put Seth Hamaker in your top five. That is dangerous. I respect you for that.
Well, we'll
It's a
see.
bold call.
So
I
my top
respect it.
three at the end of the year is going to involve two people with the same surname. Uh, Hunter Lawrence as same as you said, consistent throughout the whole year. I don't think he's got quite enough this year yet to win a title. I don't think he's got
Mm,
that pace to win a race when he really has to. So if he's sitting in fourth in a race and he has to get into the he has to make up passes. I don't think he's got that quite yet. Um, Justin Cooper in second. We know how good he is outdoors, and no
mm,
one needs to be told how good he is outdoors. And Jet Lawrence winning the title. I think that's because I
interesting.
want him to do it. But there's a reason why I haven't got Jeremy Martin in there. I do not think Jeremy Martin will be at every single round. I
Oh,
think there'll be
all
it.
right.
I just think there's going to be a little hiccup here and there. He'll miss a round for injury, and that this season, a missing of one round is going to cost you way too many points to get back at it.
Yep.
But yeah,
Yep.
anything else you want to add before we round this 250 AMA preview off?
Um, Luke Renslin's gonna get points on 125.
I hope so. What a sight! I hope he brings some merch out because I'm all for it. If you, yeah, I'm all for it. Luke Resin get some merch out. I'm on it. I'll buy it all. But
All
yeah,
right. All right.
I'm excited. I'm keen to get going. I think this 250 season is going to probably be one of the best in recent years, um, with so many guys being so good. So yeah, a week to
Yep.
go. It's going to be good. Um, but yeah, that's been our 250 AMA preview. We'll be back soon with a 450 preview. Until then, we'll catch you later.
So long.